Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Mr. Wong, and we are 4 minutes before 1 p.m. Currently, the weather is snowing really heavy right now, and I'm at home. So, if you're currently at home and you have nothing to do, might as well review biology with me, as we will spend about 1 hour to go through some of the important concepts that you might want me to go through with you. And let your friends know if they do not know about this current event. And feel free to ask me any questions that you're still having trouble to understand about the classes and topics that we have already covered for this marking period. So, oh, okay. Yeah, I activate the slow mode just in case someone spams the chat. So please think carefully about what you wanted to ask, because I wanted to prevent this like rowdiness at the chat box over there. So think about the question carefully and post it. You have 60 seconds waiting time the moment you post one question. Hi, Jonathan. I found you. So our test file review is going to go through biological organization, which is, we're going to start reviewing from the first chapter, the first lesson. So we're going to go through biological organization, atoms and molecules, biomolecules, a tour of the cell, protein synthesis, human system and tissue, and homeostasis. Not sure if you can hear me, but hello. Okay. How many people are watching this right now? Okay. I wonder slow mode applies on me as well. Okay. I also can only reply every 60 seconds. Okay. And this is the first time I do live videos, so not sure how it will look. Not sure how it performs. But we'll see. If there's any trouble about the video quality or the sound quality, let me know.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. If you can hear me. That's the whole purpose, right? You wanted to hear me talking and review about the material. So let's just repeat it again. This is Mr. Wong's biology live test 5 review, and we are going to start reviewing in maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. Just want to give some time to other people who just found out about this event. And this will be a real review on our test 5, which is going to be this Monday. Hi Daniel. Hi Valentina. Okay, and as I said just now, this is the first time I actually do a live. So I actually spent like an hour just to figure out how to do live and how to make this YouTube video show. And I actually have this review ready, and unfortunately class was cancelled for today. So yep, we're still gonna learn something. We still have class. It's just that you're going to have class at your home, at your room. And we're going to go through all the test material, like biological organization, atoms and molecules, biomolecules, a tour of the cell, protein synthesis, human system and tissue, homeostasis. And also a reminder of what's due this coming Monday, because Wednesday is the last day of the marking period. You will need to submit your Cornell note. Your Cornell note is due this Monday, so you'll have 4 lessons or 4 chapters worth of Cornell notes that you need to take notes of. They are what are they? They are RNA and DNA, protein synthesis, human system and tissues, and homeostasis. You have a few videos that you can refer to for taking notes, as well as the textbook. So if you have textbook with you, open the textbook and pay attention to the few chapters that are already assigned. You should have your worksheets with you. If not, let me find out the notes and the textbook that you need to refer to, the chapters from the textbook, and you're going to use that to take notes of. Let me see. Taste, drive, review. By the way, feel free to share how do you feel today, and how do you feel about not going to school today?
Feels good.
Oh, thank you. Where's the review? Okay, I'm going to turn off the slow mode and see how you guys behave. But I don't want to turn the chat box into a war zone. Let's see. Okay, so I have turned off the slow mode. Oh, great that Jonathan is feeling amazing. Okay, let me see. I need to open out the review, test 5 review. Yes, I have it. Okay. So I just posted the Cornell notes requirement that you need to finish. They are worth 30 points. They're enough to change 1 grade of yours if you did not submit the Cornell notes. So lesson 22, you need to submit page 229 to 234. Refer to your textbook, or you can watch the DNA and RNA YouTube video. Lesson 23, your Cornell notebook is from page 235 to 234. And yep, tests and notes are on Monday. And then lesson 24, you need to do concept 27.1 and concept 27.2. There's also a National Geographic video that you can refer to take notes. I haven't actually finished that. And textbook for lesson 25, you need to refer to page 593 to 596 to take notes of. And also the homeostasis. The test is not tomorrow. The test will be next Monday. So test will be next Monday. Okay, and yep, we have 5 people watching. I don't know who are the 5 people, but let's just get started. If you have friends that you think that they should watch this, feel free to let them know. I don't have everyone's email, so I actually cannot mass notify everyone about this, so I'm just gonna see who's on YouTube at this time right now. And I guess you guys are the lucky one that found out about this event. Okay, so as you guys know, today our test file review is going to be on biological organization, atoms and molecules, biomolecules, a tour of the cell, protein synthesis, human system and tissues, and homeostasis. So, the most important thing that you need to know for this particular test is human systems and homeostasis, because human system and homeostasis was not covered in test 4, and so these 2 chapters are the 2 new chapters that will be covered in this coming test. For systems, there are 10 systems that you need to know in our test, including integumentary systems, so there will be 11 of them. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna turn to my notes. Okay. I don't have my notes. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna erase hello world. Okay. What happened? Oops. Okay, I'm going to erase hello world. We're going to start from the basics. So the first question: what are the 10 systems in a human body? What are the 10 systems in a human body? Right? Systems are the organ systems, so we know that systems are basically a group of organs, organ or organs, performing a specific task. So each system has a task that they need to complete in order to ensure that you as a living organism can survive. Okay. So, someone's answering it. Awesome. The first system, shout out if you know the systems. Nervous. So I see nervous system, lymphatic system, skeletal system. Okay. Let me know if you think that the word that I'm writing is a bit too small and I need to enlarge my handwriting. Skeletal system. What else? Digestive system. Very good. Digestive system. And then we also have what other system? Our reproductive system. Someone just mentioned that. Reproductive system. What else? What else? Oh, good, Jonathan. Muscular. Okay, so we have nervous, lymphatic, skeletal, digestive, reproductive, muscular, endocrine. Awesome. So endocrine. So we have, let's see how many organ system we have already. The first one, endocrine, nervous system, lymphatic system, skeletal system, digestive system, reproductive system, muscular system. We still have 3 more. So let me just give you one extra one that is not covered by the National Geographic video, which is integumentary system. Integumentary system is basically your skin. It is the only organ in these systems, and some people consider fat as part of the organ because it kind of fits the definition of an organ, but some scientists doesn't think that fat should be counted as an organ. So it's still debatable how many organs are there that involves in integumentary system, but basically integumentary system is the system that protects you, the outer layer of your body. So that particular system is not covered in our 10 system, the 10 major systems. So we still have 3 more. Okay, I see circulatory, awesome, circulatory system. Okay, circulatory system. Damn, I don't have space. Endocrine, nervous, lymphatic. Okay, so I'm gonna move lymphatic over to the left side. Just move a little bit over. Move skeletal a little bit over. Move digestive a little bit over. By the way, shout out if you think that this is a really good way to learn after school time. Because personally, I really like it because I'm not going to get interrupted when I'm giving a lecture. And I can see your response. Number 8 is circulatory. I see urinary. Good. So 8 urinary. 8 is circulatory, and then I also see urinary and respiratory. Number 9, urinary, and number 10 is respiratory. So let me just repeat it. Let me just repeat the 10 system that will be covered in our coming test. First one, endocrine, and then second one, nervous, third one, lymphatic, and then skeletal, digestive, reproductive, muscular, circulatory, urinary, and respiratory. Okay. The second thing that you need to know is the function of each of the system. What is the specific task? What are the specific tasks for each of the system? Okay, I spelled function wrong. F-U-N-C-T-I-O-N. So what are their functions? Endocrine systems. Okay. Haha. Good job. Haha. I know, right? Good catch with the reference. Okay. Yes. What's your question, Daniel? Oh, no question. Okay. Endocrine. Let's just get back to the function for each of the system. Endocrine system and nervous system, they both regulates the body. So endocrine system is going to regulate the body, regulates body function. Okay, let me just change the function to a different color. Shout out if you want to choose the color that you want for the function.
Yo, bro,
I'm gonna just ping.
You ordered already?
Okay.
For you or for me?
Oh,
Where's my food?
you don't have food. By the way, I have a very annoying roommate. Okay. So. Okay. I can share a bagel with you if you want.
Where's the bagel? Get my own food.
Okay. Yes, by the way, this live show will automatically become a video in 24 hours. I was being notified. Okay. What's your language, Jonathan?
What the fuck?
Okay, you know that we are live, so everyone's watching, even though there's only 6 people watching. So let's get back to the function of the human system. Just now we already go through that the 10 systems are endocrine, nervous, lymphatic, skeletal, digestive, reproductive, muscular, circulatory, urinary, and respiratory. Endocrine system regulates the body function. Right? So I see some keywords: metabolic activities. Yes, body function. Another words about body function is metabolic activities. Metabolic is basically saying that something is going through some sort of reaction from a reactant to a product. So it's going to change something to something. And our body constantly needs to change reactants into product. Like for example, we're going to change glucose into energy, carbon dioxide, and water, right? So our body constantly needs to metabolize certain things or changing a reactant to a product. Okay, and endocrine system is going to regulate these particular body functions through glands or hormones. So through hormones secreted by glands. An endocrine system is very specific in terms of which organs count as an endocrine gland. Is that this gland has to release or secretes the hormones into the bloodstream. So anything that is getting released into the blood is part of the endocrine system. Anything that's not secreted into the blood is not counted as part of the endocrine system. Therefore, sweat gland is not counted as an endocrine system, even though it's a gland, because it does not release hormones into the blood. It releases water out of the body. So I can see endocrine system as kind of like a chemical signal process, right? Hormone is a chemicals. Hormones is a chemical. So endocrine relates to chemical reactions. They use chemical pathway to regulate body. And next, nervous system, right? So I saw that nervous system, someone defined nervous system's function as detects and interprets info. Good job, Daniel. So nervous system's function is to detect, interprets, or even reacts to sensors. So nervous systems detects these sensors through nerve impulses or electrical impulses. So nervous systems have nerves and neurons, nerve cells. They coordinate the body through sending electrical signal. So we'll go through more about how they use electrical signals to send signals throughout the body. The major player of nervous system, of course, is your brain. Your brain is the central controller, the control room for the whole nervous system. So brain is like the main organ for nervous systems. Lymphatic system. So we have lymphatic system. Sometimes you hear the keyword lymph, right? Lymph node. And it is also synonyms to the defense system, the body's defense system. It protects your bodies from all the pathogens that wants you to die. Well, they don't necessarily want you to die, it's just that they want to survive and they are pathogens. So indirectly, they kind of cause you to die because they want to survive. So that's terrible, right? So you have a defense system that fights against all those things that will cause your death, like for example, viruses, bacteria, fungi, or what else? Tiny little thing that lives inside the body and that wants to cause you to die. Defense. Your defense systems. And some of the key players that you know of defense systems are the white blood cells, right? Everyone's very familiar with white blood cells. They are like the killer machine. that can kill off all the invaders in your bodies. They are bad guys, those bad guys in the body, white blood cells. So white blood cells can kill off bad guys in your body. So white blood cells. Okay. Next, we have skeletal system. So skeletal system is basically your bones. With them, it provides like a basic structure of your body, right? How tall you are, how big you are, your bones. It provides support and structures to your body. So one thing that people are not aware of is that skeletal system is also important in protecting some of the most important nervous system in your body. Like for example, your brain is in your skull, right? So the skull in your head protects your brain. Your brain is very delicate. They do so much things, including thinking about the heart problems that you're gonna face in Monday's test, right? Very important organ. Without brain, you cannot think. So you have the skull to protect the brain. So skeletal system is also very important in protecting some of the nervous organs. So it's also for protection. Number 5, digestion. So digestive systems, quite obvious, right? Digestive, it breaks down food so that you can get the energy from it. It breaks down food or ingest food. You eat food and you absorb all the nutrients from the food. We learn from the biomolecules, knowing that everything's made of matter, and you need all those nutrients, and you can break down those foods into the basic building blocks that the body would use in order to make the things that the body needs to use. So digestive system is the most important system. It's also the most delicious one. You can get to eat all this ice cream to get all the sugars. So it breaks down food. And it's also part of the digestive system. So once it breaks down the food, it's going to release all the waste out of your body. So that's why you poop. Because not everything in the food is needed by your body. So eventually the leftover or the waste will be released out of your body. So it breaks down foods and digestive or release of waste. Next, reproductive. Definitely everyone's least favorite chapter. And we're going to deal with reproductive system for the remaining part of our classes. The main objective of reproductive system is clear-cut, is to make babies. Okay, make baby. Okay. And good point, I need to mention that we still need to learn all the chapters and all the lessons for this coming test. But don't focus on like the tiny detail. Focus on the big picture. Like how do they relate to each other? Because remember, everything is made out of atoms. So everything that we're learning right now, the systems, right? We're still going to go through the material that we learned from the first day. The different systems made out of different organs, made out of different tissue, made out of different atoms. So we're kind of still reviewing the same material from the first lesson. It's just that now we're going to look at it from different perspective. And we're focusing on system and homeostasis. So yes, you still need to know the basics from the first lessons all the way to lesson 25. So there are 225 lessons. Sorry, they're going to have 27 lessons from first lesson. They're going to have 25 lessons in the test from the first lesson to the 25th lessons. Yes, lesson 27 will be given out on Monday, and it will be your Easter break homework. I was supposed to give it out today, but class canceled, so I'm gonna give it out on Monday. Next, muscular system, which is obviously made out of muscle tissues. It can contract and relax, and it is also the reasons why you can move, contract and relax. You move around by contracting or relaxing the muscles in your body. That's why you can have certain motions, certain movement. It's all because of your muscle. And it works together with skeletal muscles. Without skeletals as a framework, you cannot really, you have certain limitations to what kind of motions that you can make, right? Your muscle can always contract, but depends on what bones the muscle's connected to. It can move different types of motions. Like for example, your arms has joints, so it can do rotational movement, but your knee only has a joint that can move up and down, so you cannot do a rotational movement at the knee part. So basically, muscular system is for movement, or do any kinds of stuff that requires motions. Okay, and heads up, Monday is the deadline for every homework that you're supposed to have submitted, including the all lessons from lesson 21 to lesson 26. Lesson 27 was supposed to be this Monday, but because classes cancelled and the test was postponed, so I postponed the deadline for lesson 27 so that you have time to work on lesson 27. Next, we have circulatory systems, right? Circulatory system is basically your blood network. It's your transportation systems, and it's going to help you transport and deliver materials. So some of the materials that your body needs to remove are glucose, nutrients, hormones, carbon dioxide, oxygen, water, so on and so forth. And it involves the organs that are blood vessels, heart. The heart is the pump that can pump the blood throughout the whole body. Okay. And then for lesson 23, Daniel, I emailed you the worksheets already. I think none of the link actually work because OneNote updates the system, so they kind of changed the policy, the system, so that now I cannot post the notes and you can download it directly. So I will have to figure out how to fix that. Well, in the meantime, I already sent you the worksheets directly through your email, Daniel. Okay. Urinary system. So urinary system is basically your pee. You're going to regulate the bodies by regulating the level of electrolytes. So one of the things that your body needs to control of that we did not mention a lot, the body needs to regulate temperature, pH, and what else? Blood temperature, pH, blood glucose level. You also need to maintain the ion levels, right? Remember we learned about ions. Ions basically charge atoms that have charge. And the most common ions is like the sodium, potassium, and chloride. They're from the salts. They're ionic compound. When they dissolve in waters, they become ions. And that's why we need to drink Gatorade after you do a lot of workouts, you run a lot. Because when you run a lot, you sweat a lot, you release a lot of ions. You lose a lot of ions in your body, and you have what we call ion imbalance. At that time, you'll be given Gatorades. It's not just an energy drink. It's to balance your ion levels. Ions, another keyword for ions is electrolytes. So it's to regulate. Okay, wrong color. So it is to regulate ions. Another keyword for ions is electrolytes. If you can see, electro derives from electron, so it's something related to charges of that particular atom. Respiratory system involves your lungs, right? Lungs. So it involves your lungs. And respiratory system, the main objective is to get your oxygen so to get your oxygen and removes carbon dioxide. If you remember, we mentioned about cellular respiration, and you need the energy from the glucose, and glucose needs oxygen so that they can turn into carbon dioxide, water, and make ATP, the energy. So respiratory system's main job is to get the oxygen from the air so that you can make ATP for your body. And the cell organelle that makes ATP is mitochondria. So let me just give you an example of major organ for each of the system. Of course, some of the system has many organs that work together. Okay, so I think this review is gonna last for 1 hour and 1 hour 30 minutes because I am a very slow speaker. And we will see how long we would like to do. My plan is to have 1 hour, but just explaining one question takes me 30 minutes. Okay, endocrine systems, the major organ, has pancreas and thyroid. Nervous system, of course, brain, lymphatic system, the major organ, surprisingly, is actually a lymph node. And bone marrow, bone marrow is actually the real reason, the real thing that makes the white blood cells and all the blood cells is actually in the bones. Hopefully we have more time to talk about each different system because they're amazing. Your body is a very complex system that just worth all our time to learn about it. Skeletal, of course, bone or skeleton. Digestive, intestine and stomach. Okay, reproductive system. Okay, female, vagina, male, penis. Okay, muscular system. There's only one organ for muscular system, which is muscle. And then number 8, circulatory heart. Number 9, urinary, which is kidney. And last one, respiratory, is lung. You also need to know how to recognize the picture. Just by looking at the picture, you know which organ system it is. And I will use the same pictures that we use in the worksheet. So your worksheet is very important in terms of helping you to review it. One way of knowing which system it corresponds to is by identifying the major organ. Brain is only in nervous system. So if you see brain in the picture of the organ system, you know that that is the nervous system. So that's how you know which organ system the picture is corresponding to. So this is very important. Okay. Second question. Four types of human tissue. Or animal tissue. So you have 4 types of human tissue or animal tissue that we already covered in class. You need to know that what exactly is a tissue. Tissue is basically a group of similar cells that perform a specific job. And if you have different types of tissues working together, same or different types of tissues, basically different types of tissues, working together to perform a specific task, it becomes an organ. Like for example, heart. Heart is made out of muscular tissue. Your tongue made out of muscular tissues. Your bone made out of dense connective tissues. Your skin is made out of epithelial tissues. So some organs will have multiple tissues working together. Like for example, the kidney and the stomach that we see in our lab. There are actually layers of tissues that you can see from epithelial to connective, and then I'm not sure if we've seen, yeah, we also seen ganglia, which is a type of nervous tissues, right? A group of nervous tissues working together. So I already mentioned the 4 major tissues. You need to know the 4 types of tissues are epithelial tissue. Okay. Okay, I see Leo's. Shout out to Leo. I do not know what do you mean by definitions. Okay. Remember, try to restrict your discussions to biology. Even though I do not hear it, I can see you talking. So epithelial, and then connective tissue. Next, nervous tissue. And the last one, muscular tissue. Okay. Briefly know about different types of tissues or examples of tissues. For example, epithelial tissue, you have maybe simple tissues or stratified tissue or ciliated tissue or cuboidal tissues. They are being organized in terms of how many layers they have and what are the shapes they are. They're not important, at least in our level, but the key idea is know why they look like this and how it contributes to their function. Epithelial tissue's function is for lining, a layer of protection, and they help secrete stuff, like for example they secretes the hormones and secretion. Okay, so depends on the function of it. Sometimes it can be just a layer, a very tightly packed epithelial tissues. They can help things to move across the cell or across the organ. And sometimes it's tightly packed because maybe they are involved in secretion that make hormones like insulins. The second type of tissue is connective tissues. It's basically helping to connect the bodies. And sometimes it's very difficult to categorize what connective tissue is, because it kind of feels like if you're not epithelial tissue, if you're not nervous tissue, if you're not muscular tissues, you'll just be considered as connective tissues. Yeah, some of the examples of connective tissues are bones, cartilage, fat or adipose tissue, tendon and ligaments. So they are all examples of connective tissues. Their major role is to form some sort of extracellular matrix. That either being used as connections or protections. Nervous tissues are made of nervous cells such as neurons, glia, and the major role of nervous tissues are to send electrical signal and chemical signal for coordinations and communications. Through electrical signal as well as chemical signal. Some people will get confused that nervous tissue does not do chemical signal, but they do. We'll talk more about it if we have time. So nervous tissue has neurons or nerve cells and glial cells. Okay. Last, muscular tissues or muscle tissues contain cells that can move or contract. There are 3 types of muscles: skeletal, stratified, striated, and cardiac. And their major roles for movement, either body movement or the organs movement inside the body. So now we have 4 types of human tissues that you should remember. And by the way, if you have any topic that you want me to cover, feel free to shout out and let me know about it. And I'll see what I can do to explain it in the shortest amount of time. Okay, so as a review, remember, you have 4 types of tissues: epithelial, connective, nervous, and muscular. And they have functions. Function is the most important thing. You need to know what functions they are. Okay, I typed the wrong thing. And how does everyone feel about not going to school during snow day?
Amazing.
Oh, amazing.
Damn, what is school, man?
So we have 4 different types of tissues. Next, thing we'll review is homeostasis. The idea of homeostasis. So anyone knows what is the definition of homeostasis? Review the definition of homeostasis maybe like 3 or 4 times already. Basically, homeostasis is the idea that your body needs to maintain internal stability or internal balance. Maintain internal balance. Okay. There is a certain range of factor that your body needs to maintain so that it doesn't go beyond that or below that. One of the examples that we learned about maintaining the body's internal balance is the temperature as well as pH and blood glucose. And just now I mentioned that you also need to maintain the electrolytes balance, the ions balance. So some of the things that you need to maintain are pH, temperature, blood glucose level. Correct? So there's a certain range that you need to maintain. You cannot have it too high, you cannot have it too low. For example, temperature. If you remember, we are endotherm, right? Endotherm. What does it mean to be endotherm? Ring a bell? Okay, so for example, we are endotherm. Endotherm, TH. Okay. There's also another word called derm, endotherm, DERM, which we will learn at the end of the semester. 2 different things. Okay, we are, as mammals, endotherms, we are warm-blooded. Very good, Grace. Warm-blooded. So we need to maintain our body temperature. And when the environment's temperature is rising, it becomes too hot, our body temperature will rise as well. So when our body temperature increase, it's going to sense it. The body is going to sense it. So it's the nervous systems that sense it. So it's going to send signal to the brain. So temperature increase, sends signal to the brain. So I'm gonna draw this as a symbol of brain. Brain is very complex. I don't really know how to draw a brain. Maybe Penma can help me draw a cartoon of brain so that I know how to draw brain. So brain is going to detect a signal. It's going to send message to the body. And later we learn that the message is actually chemical signal through endocrine systems. And we'll learn more about how endocrine systems is getting is talking to brain to release chemical hormones. As of right now, just know that brain sends signal to the body through chemical message or hormones. So it's going to tell the body to do a few things. One example is going to start telling the sweat gland on the skin to start sweating. Because we learned about the properties of water, right? Remember the first few chapters, we learned about how waters have hydrogen bonds. It's going to absorb the energies from your body when it evaporates into water. So it's going to take away the heat away from your body when water becomes gas. So your body will sweat. And second thing, your body is going to tell the blood vessels. The blood vessels is going to dilate. So that the blood moves faster, then the heat will be able to get carried out of your body faster. Okay, so heat release out of your body. So this is what we call cooling mechanism, not warming mechanism, because our temperature is increasing, so we wanted to cool down our body. So this kind of counteraction is what we call negative feedback, right? The brain activates this cooling mechanism, which is totally the opposite of what the temperature is feeling. So, the opposite of what the body is currently experiencing is what we call a negative feedback. So this is a negative feedback loop. Not a loop, but negative feedback. It's not a loop yet. We're going to see how it becomes a loop in the end. So once you start sweating and heat is released out of your body temperature is going to start decreasing, right? So your body temperature is going to start decreasing. So as your body is getting the temperature decrease, so what's going to happen at that time? Your body is going to detect it, knowing that your body is getting colder now. So you don't want the temperature to keep getting cooler and cooler and cooler. At this time, you're going to turn off the cooling mechanism. Okay, so it's going to turn off the cooling mechanism. Turn off cooling mechanism. So this is also another example of a negative feedback, right? Because your body's temperature is decreasing, it's getting lower and lower and lower. So your body detects is going to do the opposite. You have the cooling mechanisms just now, so it's going to turn off that. So you're going to stop sweating, you're going to stop dilating the blood vessels. This is also an example of negative feedback. So you can see that there is a loop going on around here. So I'm not sure what color should I use so that I don't mess up my beautiful picture. Okay. You can see that temperature increase over here. Temperature increase, brain detects it, activates cooling mechanism, which is a negative feedback over here, and then it tells the sweat gland to sweat, it tells the blood vessels to dilate. These two things is going to result in a decrease in temperature. So temperature is decreasing. As the temperature decreases, your body is going to detect it that it's dropping. It needs to prevent it so that it doesn't drop too much out of the normal body range. So it's going to start telling the body to turn off the cooling mechanism, which is also a form of negative feedback, because as the body temperatures decrease, you want to do the opposite so that it does not decrease furthermore. So, as you can see, eventually it becomes a circle. Temperature increase, stop there, decrease, back to normal. Right? So this is what we call a negative feedback loop. So this whole process of increasing then decreasing through negative feedback is what we call a negative feedback loop. It's also same for your bodies when the temperature is decreasing. So when the body is decreasing, temperature decrease, it's also going to tell the brain to send a signal to the body that they need to do something. So they kickstart heating mechanism, I should use blue for the temperature decrease part, so I'm going to change it to blue. Okay, temperature decrease, so the brain is going to send signal to tell the body to activate heating mechanism. This is an example of negative feedback. So it's going to start telling the body, the muscle, to start shivering. So shivering muscle is going to generate heat, right? That's why you start shivering. You also have goosebumps. To have the hair follicle stood up is going to keep track of the heat around the body. It's also going to tell the blood vessels to constrict. Basically, it means making the blood vessels smaller. When the blood vessels smaller, blood is unable to move as fast as usual. So it's gonna keep the heat. Your blood is warm, so it doesn't. If your blood is moving slower than usual, it's not going to release that much heat out of your body. With that, it's gonna maintain your body's temperature, so that it doesn't lose as much heat as possible. At that time, your temperature is gonna increase as you shiver and your blood vessel constricts. Your temperature will increase. At this time, your body is gonna detect that, hey, the temperature's increased. And you don't want the temperature to keep increase for and on and on and on. So as temperature increase, your body is going to detect it. It's going to activate the negative feedback by turning off the heating mechanism. So you're going to turn off heating mechanism. Okay. So as you can see, there is a negative feedback loop in this process as well, right? It activates 2 times the negative feedback. First, as temperature decreases, it does the opposite by activating the heating mechanism. Then, as the temperature increases, it activates the negative feedback again by turning off the heating mechanism, so that your temperature can get back to the normal temperature range. So this is actually a very important idea that we will repeatedly see it over and over again in our future lessons as well. So we learn about negative feedback in regulating temperature. We also learn about negative feedback in regulating blood glucose level, right? When the body has high level of glucose in the blood, you don't want blood to be high in glucose, because if you have a lot of glucose in blood, is going to have diabetes, and we learn about the symptoms of diabetes. So your body is going to release insulin. So insulin is a hormone that can convert the glucose into either ATP or glycogen or fatty acid in the cell. And when you have very low level of glucose level, it's going to release glucagon to convert glycogen to glucose, so that you have blood glucose. So that you have glucose in your cell, the glucose will either be released out of the blood, out into the blood, or converted to ATP. So the next idea is you need to know what is positive feedback and what are the examples. So we said that if something changes, let's say if something increased, if a variable or a factor increase, an arrow up, so a variable increase, a negative feedback is going to do the opposite, so it's going to decrease. So how about a positive feedback, right? So a positive feedback, when a variable is increased, a positive impact is going to make sure that it keeps going on and on and on. It's going to do even more than usually it will have. So a negative feedback will be like, if something's going faster, negative feedback will tell that thing to go slower, so that it doesn't go beyond, so that it doesn't go out of control. Positive feedback will be like more. It wants to have more things. If you have things that goes fast, it's going to ask that thing to go even faster and faster and faster. So most of the bodies, because we are organisms and we want to maintain homeostasis, most of the regulation that happens in our bodies involve negative feedback, because we don't want our body to go out of control. We don't want our body temperature to be like 1000 degree Fahrenheit. It'll be crazy. But in certain situations, we actually want positive feedback so that it can go on and on for certain specific situation. For instance, the classic examples that we will learn, that we have learned about positive feedback, is baby delivery. Okay, when you deliver a baby, the baby's kind of big and it needs to go out of your vagina. And when you deliver the baby's kind of big, so it kind of relax the muscles out of that particular region. So it will send hormonal signal as a positive feedback as the baby is getting out of the female's body. It will release that hormone to make sure that it relaxes more and more and more, so that eventually there's enough space for the baby's body to get out of the mother's body. So that's the differences between negative feedback and positive feedback. Okay. Good job to those who are still in the test 5 review. I know this is a very long review. Okay. We will end soon. And kudos to those who are still in the group listening to the test 5 review. Next, the thing that you need to learn and be prepared is the role of insulin and glucagon and how they help regulate the blood glucose level. And if you remember, I draw a blood vessels and I draw a liver cell. Actually, it's not liver cells. I draw pancreas cells. Pancreas cells. So pancreas cells makes insulin or glucagon. They are both peptide hormones. So basically, they are made of protein. So you need to remember how the cell's organelles help making protein, right? The transcription, the translations. You have the genes in the cell of the pancreatic cells that can make insulin protein or glucagon protein, and then they need to get translated by the ribosome, so that ribosome has the tRNA, bring in the amino acids, and then make that protein. And then the cell has to release it out of the cell, so the protein has to get out of the cells through membrane transport. Golgi apparatus is going to package it, modifies it, and put it into a vesicles, and that vesicles is going to release protein out of the cell into the bloodstreams. So you can see that this is tied to the previous chapter that we had learned before. Okay. Who dislike? Must be my roommate.
What?
No, nothing.
I don't like it, bro. He's right.
So,
Yo, you got
insulin.
a very classic chart.
We have the blood vessels. So this line here is the blood vessels. So as we remember, blood vessel is part of the circulatory system. Blood vessel is part of the circulatory system. It helps transport stuff. And when you have digestive system, the stomach is going to absorb the nutrients, right, from the small intestines. We did not go into too detail on how digestive system absorb the nutrients, but you know that digestive system breaks down foods and absorb the nutrients, like glucose, for instance. So when, let's say, you eat an ice cream, by the way, that's Mr. Wong's favorite food, ice cream. I'm obsessed with ice cream. Okay, I can eat like a pint of ice cream in less than 5 minutes. Fun fact, Mr. Wong actually win a ice cream eating competition in college,
So
being the
funny.
fastest person to eat the ice cream. In 2 minutes, I ate 1 pint of ice cream. So I just gone. Yeah. ice cream is high in glucose, and when you eat ice cream at such a fast rate, you're going to start having a lot of glucose in the blood vessels, so a lot of glucose level. A lot of glucose. So I'm going to use green to represent glucose. So glucose, a lot of glucose. Right, in the blood vessels. So green represents glucose. You don't want blood to have such a high level of glucose, because if blood has a lot of glucose, all this glucose is going to end up being in the kidney. And kidney is going to take in all the glucose and going to pee out all the glucose, and your pee is going to be sweet. Like really, really sweet. And also you don't want blood to be rich in glucose, because it's going to provide nutrients for bacteria and fungi to grow in places such as your wound, right? You have a cut, you have blood rich in glucose, fungi and bacteria are going to grow over there. So you're going to have infection. That's why we have that very disgusting diabetic foods that we see in classroom. So you don't want blood to be rich in glucose. You want to be in a suitable range, not too high, not too low. So when the body detects glucose, high glucose level, pancreatic cell is going to make the insulin. Insulin is a hormone, and insulin is going to get secreted out of the pancreatic cells. So let me use a different color for insulin. So I'm going to use I don't know what to, black. I'm going to use black as insulin. So insulin, right? So this is insulin. So insulin is going to get secreted into the blood. So the black represents insulin.